sometimes you can get a bit lost as to what you should do. Should you optimize this? How do I make sure my content is helpful? How do I do this? And if you always think back to the core goal of Google, which comes down to returning the best website to the user. So if someone searches for men's ties, Google wants to return which it believes is the best website related to men's ties, right? And the way it does that is one, two things. It returns websites that are number one, the most relevant, or number two, the most authoritative, and in the ideal world, the most authoritative and relevant.
You're listening to E-Commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company. Powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Today's show is sponsored by UPS Capital, the creators of the Insure Shield app for Shopify. Now, like all entrepreneurs and marketers, you work hard for your company's reputation, but quite often there are shipping setbacks that are really outside of your control. Like think about porch piracy or packages that are damaged in transit. And shipping really has become a critical part of the customer experience, and it's essential to protect against these sorts of risks. Insure Shield shipping insurance, which is powered by UPS Capital, is the exact solution that provides full coverage to Shopify brands, no matter the carrier. So if you ship with UPS, FedEx, or USPS, these shipments are fully covered. And the distinction here is that it's not carrier liability insurance, but it's rather shipping insurance. And Insure Shield offers that sort of peace of mind that your business can recover from, I call it the inevitable shipping issues that happen on a daily basis. And the great thing is that they have an easy to use portal for fast claim payments, and you get the full value of the goods plus the transportation fees. So that's great. It's all bundled together. They even have a brand new feature called the Consumer Elected, and it can even be further personalized for your exact business needs. How it works is consumers can elect to cover their purchases at checkout, and the merchants can then make a custom rule to cover the cost if the consumer passes on that insurance offer. So if an issue happens, UPS Capital helps take the pain out of the claims with online submission and easy visibility. Now, the Insure Shield app is available now in the Shopify App Store, or you can visit them at upscapital.com/Shopify app for more information on all the available coverage options. As a reminder, Insure Shield shipping insurance is offered through UPS Capital Insurance, Inc., and they are a licensed agent. Well, hey there, it's Steve Hutt from Shopify. I'm the Merchant Success Manager, and welcome back to the 6th season of E-Commerce Fastlane. I know there's plenty of podcast choices, both in operations and in marketing. And just thank you so much for taking time to listen to the show today, just listening in and learning today. Today's an incredible topic around search engine optimization, which I know you're going to love. Now, one thing about this show is it's released twice weekly. We're available from all your favorite podcast apps like Apple, Spotify, and Google. We're also publishing now on Amazon Music and on YouTube. So if you'd like to consume your podcast that way, you can go check out those platforms. Now, as I mentioned, today's episode, my guest is Josh George. He's the founder of an SEO agency called ClickSlice, and they're located at clickslice.co.uk. That'll be in the show notes. We'll talk all about that. What they are is they're an e-commerce focused agency. They really are, their main superpowers, they're here to help Shopify and maybe all e-commerce brands really to increase their visibility in Google search, really to 5x the organic sales. I mean, like free organic traffic definitely is the holy grail for Shopify stores, as it significantly offsets the cost of paid social. And we know the CAC is on the rise right now. It's really hard with iOS 14.5 and moving forward with this cookie apocalypse and all these things going on, these privacy policies. Pretty wild time right now. Whereas if you can be organically like in the top for your niche, the value, when you compare it to what the cost would be to own the same spot in paid search, more than pays for any services you may want to get. So please listen in. Exciting show. So hi, Josh. Welcome to E-Commerce Fastlane.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me.
pleasure. Thank you. I know you're in London. Time zones are different. I really appreciate the fact you doing the late afternoon hustle to kind of get this recorded, because SEO is, for a lot of people, appears to be a black box or a significantly long play, and they just sometimes wonder the ROI out of it. I want to have you on because I know that you have a different position around it all, and you think more holistically and are really here to help, these e-commerce and Shopify powered brands. So can you talk a little bit about your agency, like ClickSlice, and kind of like what's unique about it and the sort of problems you're solving more on a high level first?
Yeah, sure. So ClickSlice is a dedicated e-commerce SEO agency in London, in the UK. And we help e-com brands from all over the world. And the great thing about, SEO is it applies to every country, right? Google has a search engine in the US, the UK, Canada, and other countries, like say the Netherlands. The algorithm is still the same. It's just not as update, I guess you could say. So the beauty of SEO is it can apply to any single country. So we have, clients in the US, some in Canada, in the UK, some in Amsterdam, all over the world. And what we primarily do is work with them to increase the visibility of the website and generate them more organic traffic, which always results in more organic sales.
Interesting. You know what I find fascinating is the fact that, you as a founder, I always wonder why a founder decides to put their flag in the sand. In your case, it's SEO. Can you talk a little bit about your origin story? Like, I'm always curious about, like, how did you start? How did you find, other team members just to kind of continue iterating and building your agency?
Sure, that's a really good question. So I've actually been doing SEO since 2016. So what's that, 7 years now?
Yeah.
I originally got into SEO as an end result of dropshipping on eBay, which was in like 2014, 2015. So at the time, I was one of the biggest eBay accounts in the UK. We was pretty much selling every bestseller on Amazon on eBay, drop shipping it. When someone bought it from our store, we would literally went onto Amazon, typed in the address and sent it directly to them, made a little markup. And that was going really, really well. Like, we had to register for VAT within literally a month. It was going crazy, crazy, crazy fast. But the problem with eBay is whenever you sell an item, you have to pay a FVF, a final value fee. So whether you're selling a mic for $100, right, you have to give eBay $10, which is quite a lot. And we was paying thousands every month in eBay fees. So I said, hey, do you know what? Forget the eBay stuff. I'm going to make my own website and generate my own traffic and keep all the revenue and pay no one fees. So I made my e-commerce store. I was building it, putting all the products up, and then I just had no traffic. I was getting no sales, and I did what pretty much any e-commerce brand owner would do, right? You just Google how to get my store onto the first page of Google. Discovered SEO in 2015, or as actually towards the end of 2014, and pretty much just started learning about it and became absolutely obsessed. And instead of me then continue with my e-commerce store, I just saw this as a massive opportunity to actually offer this as a service. Really, really enjoyed it, and ended up doing SEO for my uncle's business, which is like a little taxi company here in the UK. Completely transformed his business. He was overloaded, had to hire more staff. And I just thought, you know what? This day is different. I really love this SEO. I'm addicted, obsessed to it. So let's go ahead and start my own SEO agency.
Yeah, this is amazing. And it's nice that you're actually not like niching down. I mean, you have the skill set, obviously, to do like all different niches, but it's interesting that you've decided to focus on e-com, because I think e-com is kind of uniquely different, because there can be, exactly what you just said, because of the search engines, there could be, especially in an international company, there's going to be some language challenges sometimes. There's going to be some inventory challenges. How do we deal with, there's a lot of stuff to deal with. And so, and I think that's the uniqueness around it. And I want to unpack some of those nuances about e-commerce kind of SEO as it relates maybe to other just kind of regular blogging and stuff. So are you seeing any mistakes? I mean, obviously people come to you doing like audits and stuff, kind of pre-retain or kind of getting involved with your agency. Like, are you seeing something that some founders are doing that just kind of shock you? Maybe if you can share a couple stories at all.
Yeah, sure. So I would say probably the biggest mistake we see on the whole is brand owners becoming too reliant on paid ads. And often what we'll see is e-com brand owners will come to us and 100% of their traffic and sales are coming from paid ads, which isn't the worst case scenario, as some brand owners have stores that are generating no traffic and no sales, which obviously isn't ideal. But we've all heard and seen countless horror stories of how many ad accounts have been randomly getting banned. And we all know that Google ads and Facebook ad support aren't the most helpful at all. Ad clicks are constantly on the rise too. And ad targeting, as you said earlier, is becoming less and less effective, right? Since the iOS 14 update last year, people don't want to be tracked. So ads are naturally becoming less effective. And all of these things combined become a problem. So if all your all your traffic and sales are coming from ads and you know the future isn't looking that great, then that is a massive problem for your brand, right? So we speak to a lot of D2C brand owners who are hesitant to invest in SEO as they don't want to wait months to see results. And I completely understand that frustration. So what they do, they choose to just go 100% all in ads, and fast forward a few months, they're fed up of overspending on ads, CPCs are on the rise, and the competitors who started 6 months ago are absolutely killing it. So I always advise, brand owners, invest in SEO, even if it's not with us. Like, you really need to invest in SEO because there's 5 really important benefits that it has. And, the first one is organic traffic converts better in terms of click-through rates than paid traffic. People are 8.5 times more likely to click on organic results versus paid ads. Like, the proof is in the pudding. So even if you are relying on paid ads and your business is absolutely booming, just imagine if you ranked organically, 8.5 times more likely to get a click on an organic result than an ad. And again, I think just going back on, on that stat as well, users have more trust in sites that appear in the organic section too. So again, if you're thinking long term, you should be thinking about SEO. Again, going back to the clicks, right? It's not that sustainable to keep paying for clicks every single month. You want to have an organic traffic stream coming to your website, just converting and just building over time. And it's also a great way to diversify your sales as well. And a really bonus one, which we say to a lot of e-com brand owners, is if you're thinking long term and you're planning to maybe sell your brand, it's more appealing to buyers if your traffic and sales are coming from organic sources rather than paid ads. So again, the biggest mistake on the whole is just brands becoming too reliant on one traffic source, which is primarily paid ads.
Yeah, you make a really good point because, when Google starts giving you the value that you deserve to have and be like the natural choice for them from an organic perspective, I think from I want to sell my brand perspective, if you've already got all of this kind of pre-baked in, then all of a sudden, I think you can actually put a monetary value on, well, what is this organic traffic worth if I had to pay for it? What's your mindset around that?
Yeah, no, for sure. That is, again, a really good question. So we actually took on a client in the outdoor space. They sell like these fertilizers, and pretty much when they came to us, they was doing, I think they spent about $20,000 a month on paid ads. And the idea was, he wanted to kind of turn the switch off of ads and generate that sales organically through SEO. And within 6 months, we managed to turn off that switch and was actually generating more than 20,000 in organic sales. And it's absolutely amazing, right? Because the amount he was paying us in terms of retainer was way less than $20,000, but he was generating more than that in organic sales. So it's crazy because the thing with SEO is it compounds, right? So as you do more SEO on your website, you publish more blogs, you build up your relevancy, you build more backlinks, build your authority. It becomes easier and easier to rank for other pages. So if you then want to expand your store and offer more collections, you've already got that authority over your website. So you can rank that collection a lot quicker than if you didn't do that SEO. Whereas if you was just running paid ads, you would make that new collection page and that would be it. You didn't have to have a new campaign and spend more money to generate traffic to the same site where, you kind of miss that compounding effect with paid ads, which is a shame. Which is why I always say, if you think long term and you're in this e-commerce space for the good of your business to keep growing and scaling, you really can't overlook SEO.
So what's interesting about SEO, from my perspective, is that I think some brands are a little bit apprehensive because they don't necessarily have the workflow of they think of like the main head term or a couple of the head terms that kind of encompass their products, and they can maybe expand, even like using like AdWords and you can expand out. And there's lots of other tools to help uncover semantically relevant and kind of keyword groupings and things like that. There's some neat tools and things that are available to kind of help people. Can you walk us through maybe what the DIY approach is? Like if someone's in the early stages of their business right now, where they're like mostly paid ads, but they're a kind of small business, they're on Shopify core, they're not on the plus side, they're not doing millions of dollars in revenue yet. Because I really want to make sure that I'm being helpful for the different types of people that are listening today. There's going to be people on the plus side that are the enterprise people that are probably more in your wheelhouse because they have the size and the scale where you can make big impact. But the DIY people, like, hey, Josh, what do you recommend today to kind of get ramped up? Are there tools or a process and, content writing? I'm just curious on your feedback.
Yeah, great. So I would say the first thing you need to do is identify the keywords that your store should be targeting. So if you're coming from a paid ads background, it should be quite easy to identify. You probably have your Google Ads account or your Facebook Ads account, and you're going after these specific set of keywords. Right. There's lots of tools you can use to find keywords. And by the way, just to clarify, a keyword isn't just one word. A keyword refers to a search phrase. So imagine you own an online jewelry store selling 22 karat gold earrings, for example. Your most obvious keyword could be 22 karat gold earrings, but it could be men's 22 karat gold earrings,
Right.
women's. There's lots of different ways that people search for the same thing. And there's subcategories within your main category as well. So it's all about identifying what are people searching for. If you can't identify what people search for, then how do you optimize your website for those terms? So step one is what we call keyword research. Now, tools you can use, there's a free option called Google Keyword Planner. Again, if you're coming from a Google Ads background, you will be familiar with that. You can just log into your Google Ads account and access that for free. The pros is it's free. The downside is that it doesn't give you the exact search phrases. It typically gives you ranges. So again, using the same example, that keyword 22 karat gold earrings, that may say that has between 1 and 1,000 searches a month, which isn't that helpful because that could be 5 searches, it could be 1,000, right?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of other premium solutions out there that will give you the exact data. For example, a tool is Ahrefs. Again, really, really good tool. Pretty much the one we use day in, day out, or say day in, literally every hour at the agency. Yeah. Another alternative is SEMrush. They both do pretty much the same thing. A lot of people like to debate which is better. Honestly, you can get results with both. It's just different UIs, whatever suits, kind of suits your preference. SEMrush is more visual, I would say, lots more charts on it. So if you like charts, then definitely go towards SEMrush. Once you identify your keywords, you then pretty much want to go on to what I say, like the 5 most impactful things Shopify store owners can do to increase their traffic, right? So you've got your keywords, what next? So the biggest thing I say you should be doing from a DIY perspective is adding what we call TR content to your collection pages. So TR content just stands for topically relevant content. And collection pages are 95% of the time are going to be your big money drivers. And these are the ones that are going to be responsible for generating the bulk of your traffic and revenue. And what most people do is they have the collection pages with the collection name at the top, and then they list a few products below it. And that is it. However, the problem with that is Google has this thing called Googlebot, which is essentially a web crawler, and its job is to crawl your website to understand what your pages are about. Collection pages are notorious for not having much content on them. So as a result, Google is struggling to understand what your collection page is about. So a really good strategy that anyone could do is literally add some content below your products on your collection pages and make sure that content is topically relevant to the products you are selling. So again, if you're selling that same example of 22 karat gold earrings, you can pretty much have a buyer's guide on things to look out for when buying 22 karat gold earrings, maybe, different occasions you can wear earrings to. So anything to do with content that's relevant to the products that you are selling. Once you do that, Google will then crawl your collection page and will have a better understanding as to what your page is about as you have more topically relevant content on it. So that is super easy to do, and that has a massive impact on rankings.
Yeah, I love this. I actually went to one of the brands I manage. They're in the coffee business, and I went to their /collections/coffee. So that's their main landing page of all the coffee they have. And they're doing exactly what you said. This is a $30-40 million direct-to-consumer coffee company. And, it says coffee, and then it says, our single origin, small batch coffee beans are sustainably sourced, rainforest, blah, 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 blah. From whole bean to single serve pods, you can count on a clean cup every time. So at least they've certainly have thought about, from an SEO perspective, a little bit to have some kind of a lead-in paragraph on their collection page. And then I'm assuming that when they actually go to an actual product page, is there anything unique about a product page now? Is it the same idea, or are you just drilling down a little bit deeper?
Yeah, so I would say typically what we see from our clients is that literally 90% of sales, 95% of sales are coming from the collection pages.
Okay.
So it's in terms of, what will generate the biggest ROI from a 80-20 rule aspect, you're better off focusing on optimizing your collection pages. For example, if someone searches for men's t-shirts, they obviously are a man and they want a t-shirt. However, they don't know what type of t-shirt they want. So if they was to land on a product page that sold a red t-shirt with a big blue circle on it, they may not like red. However, if they land on your collection page that has lots of different colors and different styles, they're more likely to buy one of your products. So from terms of a product page optimization basis, as long as you got the keyword in the title tag, the H1, and typically you have it in the H2 as well, that is all we typically do for that. We want to focus on the collection pages as that will have the biggest impact on traffic and revenue.
I'm going to talk about content production now. So I agree with you on doing the keyword research, fleshing it out, understanding how you fit topically with these relevant keywords, I call them even in clusters. How can you become the natural choice for Google around these keywords? And I think over time, you're absolutely correct. It starts leveraging over time. It's just, you have to have the strategy and you have to start executing on it. I think part of that, other than the collection pages and the product pages, is actually producing content that is helpful, which kind of brings me to the question around, I think maybe 6 months ago, Google had a release, and I think in the SEO world was called like kind of the helpful content update. And so are you able to talk a little bit about the helpful content update and kind of what that means about this kind of this EAT algorithm they talk about authoritativeness and trustworthiness and stuff? Are you able to talk a little bit about that? And then let's kind of pivot over to the content production side and kind of what you're recommending.
Yeah, sure. That is a really good question. So I always say to people, when it comes to SEO and trying to understand what all these Google updates are about, because, the Google algorithm is super complex. There's over 200 ranking signals they use to determine what site should rank above another. And sometimes you can get a bit lost as to what you should do. Should you optimize this? How do I make sure my content is helpful? How do I do this? And if you always think back to the core goal of Google, which comes down to returning the best website to the user. So if someone searches for men's ties, Google wants to return which it believes is the best websites related to men's ties, right? And the way it does that is one, two things. It returns websites that are number one, the most relevant, or number two, the most authoritative, and in the ideal world, the most authoritative and relevant. So when it comes to increasing the relevance in your website and making sure your content is helpful, all you need to do is make sure you are publishing lots of TR content, again, topically relevant blogs on your website, all about the collections that you have for sale. And the more content you publish on your website about that topic, the higher your topical relevancy is going to be. So if someone then goes into Google tomorrow and searches for men's tie, and there's 5 websites to pick from, the first has 1 blog on men's ties, the second has 100, the third has 300, and and so on and so on. The more pages you have on a content, the more authority and the more relevant you are in Google's eyes. So that's when it comes down to actually being more relevant to the search terms, right? And in terms of your content being helpful, this is really interesting because a lot of websites back in the day were just spam content, keyword stuff, just try and rank. And that used to work absolutely amazing, right, in 2012. But unfortunately, we're in 2023 now, and that no longer works. So when it comes to writing helpful content, you need to focus on making sure your content actually answers the user's query. Now, typically with e-commerce stores, they're not asking questions. They're searching for buyer intent related keywords. However, in your blogs, like for example, how much does a men's tie cost? The pros and cons of men's ties, what material is best for a men's tie? These are informational related searches that are coming from people higher up in the sales funnel, right? So if you can attract that traffic for your blog, deliver your helpful content by making sure your content is concise, it's on point, it's not waffly, it's written by someone who's an expert in the field. So make sure you have an author bio on your page. That helps with your EAT signals as well. Again, make sure you link to your authoritative mentions you have on the website in your EAT profile. Otherwise, it's just going to be a standard generic author profile. Again, you want to make it as easy as possible for Google to determine who wrote this content and why should we show it above other pieces of content on other websites, for example.
Today's supply chain is somewhat unreliable, and shoppers are actively seeking for options to better protect the items that they buy online. Now, our show sponsor, UPS Capital, recently commissioned research which shows that 65% of consumers would be interested in the option to request coverage for specific online orders. Now, with UPS Capital's Insure Shield app for Shopify, it's a new consumer-elected feature that can do exactly that. Consumers can elect to cover their purchases at checkout, and merchants can then make a custom rule to add the insurance in a rare case that the consumer passes on that insurance. This added protection will enhance the customer's trust and confidence in your business. It will improve your conversion rate and your customer experience. And you can now manage your shipping insurance preferences with the ultimate in flexibility. You can change the rules whenever you need to. You can file claims at any time. Now, the Insure Shield app is available now in the Shopify App Store, or you can visit upscapital.com/Shopify app for more information. As a reminder, Insure Shield shipping insurance is offered through UPS Capital Insurance, Inc., and they are a licensed agent. And now back to our episode. All right, I'm all in on that. The next step is the actual content production now. So we understand the keywords, we understand how to be a topical authority and having these keyword clusters. I kind of understand that part of it. The next step is producing it, getting a content brief, and then continuing to write. And obviously the elephant in the room is OpenAI's ChatGPT and Jasper. And there's it seems like, we joked before recording, but it seems like every week there's a new kind of large language model, some kind of adaptation of ChatGPT or whatever. And so it's interesting. So I just would love your take on, okay, we understand the keywords and kind of where we believe, our brand believes where they need to fit. They know they need to produce content around that helpful, great content. The problem is the writer's block, or the challenge is the significant cost of hundreds of dollars per blog post, potentially for an external writer. Whereas maybe some of these tools could be maybe helpful to maybe speed to market quicker. So I just want to understand your mindset around that.
Awesome. Yeah. So hopefully at this point, people have carried out the keyword research. They've got a list of keywords. And the next step is, all right, how do I write content? So there's actually a lot of really good tools you can use. So at the moment, we are using ChatGPT, and we're only using it to write briefs and give us main headlines for our article, because at the moment, I'm still not comfortable on using AI to write 100% articles. I don't think I'll ever be comfortable on it, to be honest with you. We offer like a premium service, right? So it's only right we have full in-house content writers to actually produce the content. But as you said, sometimes you can get writer's block. You're not sure what to structure it, what your heading should be. So for example, using ChatGPT, which obviously released the number 4 version recently this week as well, you can just go into ChatGPT and say, hey, can you come up with 10 ideas I can publish on my blog? By the way, my site is related to men's ties, again, using the same example. And it will literally give you 10 blog post ideas that are on topic to your e-commerce store. So if you're struggling to come up with blog post ideas, it's a really good strategy you can use for that. You can then take one of those blog post titles, for example, what material is the best for men's ties? And then, hey, say to ChatGPT, can you create me a content outline that I can use to write a 750 word blog post? The more specific you are, the better. That's why I said 750. Some people say 500, but ideally, the more words you have, the better. But again, focus on being as concise. Don't just make it waffly for the sake of it. ChatGPT will then give you, say, introduction, then talk about this material, talk about this, talk about that, and then give a conclusion. And you can literally just use it to help guide your content. So I do believe content is getting a lot easier to produce, and again, a lot cheaper as well, especially if you're using the API. Again, there's other tools that can help you as well, because I don't recommend just, asking ChatGPT to create you an outline and then you write it, because I always say to all the clients we speak with, to rank on Google, your content must be helpful and it should be good, but it also needs to be optimized for SEO. Having an article that is great for a user but isn't optimized for Google search engine ultimately means no one's actually going to find it or read it. So we always run all of our content through Surfer SEO, which is another tool. And Surfer SEO, what it is pretty much a content tool that gives you a guide on how many times you should be mentioning your keyword, what other clusters and topics you should be mentioning in your content. And it bases its suggestions on the top ranking websites right now in Google. So if you carry out a search for, let's say, 22 karat gold earrings, and Surfer sees the top 5 results have mentioned, that keyword 5% of the time, so the content has a 5% keyword density, then it will tell you go for a 5% keyword density too. So what you're essentially doing here is replicating what's already working instead of just writing what you think you should write based on what you know about your brand. So it kind of gives you a bulletproof process not to fail.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Surfer SEO. Actually, I use it myself, and I love the fact that I'm able to actually put a URL in, let's say an existing piece of content I've maybe identified through SEMrush that I'm on page 2 or page 3 of a certain URL, and there's some keywords that are important. I actually literally copy that URL into Surfer. It looks at it, brings it in, and then scrapes the top 20 and says, okay, we see where you are, but here's the changes that we believe you need to make to this existing piece of content to rank higher. I think that's kind of like the low-hanging fruit, I call it.
It's so awesome. I mean, to give you actually a real example of when I've used it literally within the last 2 months is I've got a page on our website is targeting the keyword SEO consultant London. Obviously a very competitive keyword, right? I'm up against every other SEO consultant in the capital of the UK, right? And we was actually struggling to rank that page, right? It was in position 2 for about 7 or 8 months, for ages. And then, we ran it through Surfer. It gave us some suggestions of different keywords to include. Take this out, add that in. We added it in, and now we're ranking number 1. If you Google SEO consultant London, you'll see ClickSize ranks number 1 for that. And it's really, really powerful. We've done it countless times for all the clients we work with as well. And it's kind of our little secret power tool, I guess you could say, that we have in our arsenal to just really give clients that extra push when they need it.
That's lovely. And actually, you are ranked number one. I'm in Canada and I'm typing SEO consultant UK, and you are number one. There's a few other notable, suspects in there, the Matthew Woodwards and, the Daniel Foley, and a few others in here. They're doing their thing. But yeah, you're very clearly, according to Google anyways, you are like the agency to go to. And not just for the UK, but ironically also ranking in the UK. So I think that's great.
Awesome. Absolutely.
So I'm going to pivot now over to a story because I think it's so exciting for me. I mean, you've mentioned a few different things about maybe what other brands have done in the past. And I think, when you, I guess, do a site audit and there's interest from a brand saying, hey, I'm sick of being on the hamster wheel of this paid social. And, with all of these challenges of the rising CAC, I question the attribution. I think all of these social channels now, they're kind of grading their own homework, meaning that they're giving each other credit for the conversion when the reality is we know customers can come in at all different parts of the funnel multiple times. And then, is that or is that not working? Where I think SEO is very clearly, you click on an organic listing and boom. So let's talk about maybe, and I know you have a few case studies on your website, but is there any one in particular that you can maybe talk about publicly? And hey, they learned about you, you implemented some of the strategy, and then kind of what happened?
Yeah, it's actually a brand that came to us not too long ago. The brand's called Cutthroat Club.
Okay.
They're a D2C brand that sells men's shaving products. So the guys behind this brand are actually e-commerce investors. So what they do, they acquire sites, they add them to the portfolio, increase traffic and sales, and then often sell them for more money. So they were already doing well with the other brands they had under the kind of the parent company. I think it was another 4 brands, but they were struggling to acquire targeted traffic and increase sales on this particular store. And there's nothing worse than having a store and not being able to generate traffic, right? So they found us online, as obviously our site ranks number 1 for a lot of keywords.
Yeah.
Again, just goes to show how important SEO is even for us, right? They booked a call with us and we went through with them what they were trying to achieve, what issues they were facing, and really understand the goals and objectives, because taking the time to understand is really, really important. So once we understood exactly what they wanted to achieve, which was pretty straightforward as it is for a lot of e-com brands, they just want to literally increase visibility of their website for commercial terms, as that always generates organic sales, right? So once you understood what they wanted to achieve, we put together a bespoke SEO campaign for them that we knew would allow them to achieve the goals that they previously discussed. Now, the key in that sentence is the word bespoke and not generic. There's too many agencies saying, yeah, come on board and we'll do one blog and one link, and they just make it up as they go along. That isn't the way to do it. The way to do it is to understand what they want to achieve, what the keywords are, go away, look at the competition, come back, and then quote accordingly to that. So that's pretty much the process we followed. And, fast forward now, we are 4.5 months into the campaign, I believe, or not even 4.5 months, just under 4.5 months into the campaign. And the client literally is already ranking on page 1 for over 60 different keywords. Like if you Googled it, again, your side, you might even see it. If you Google cutthroat razor, they rank number 1. That's 880 searches a month. Straight razor beard, again, they rank number 1, 320 searches a month. Type in cutthroat razor blades, anything to do with cutthroats and all the products they sell, they are absolutely dominating it. And it's really cool because I spoke to the owner last week. Orders are up 73% compared to the previous period. And they're actually up 414% compared to the previous year. So the client is very, very happy. I'm actually in talks now to handle SEO for another one of their brands. And this is absolutely crazy because initially, I won't say the guy's name, but initially the client was actually contemplating just, going all in with ads as they did with one of the other e-com brands, but he decided to give SEO a go for this site. And yeah, I think it's going to change their business, I can say, for the better, for sure.
And it's interesting. As you were speaking, I, double check to see exactly what you're talking about the collection page. So I went to the Cutthroat Razors collection page, and you're doing exactly what you're recommending to do. Obviously, what you just told us about making sure we have some SEO optimized but helpful body content kind of in the hero image to the left, and then showing a lot of these straight razors, for example. And then as you scroll down further, what to consider when buying a straight razor. So there's obviously been some really interesting conversations around the keywords and the metal and the handle and all the things that I think are very helpful. You're putting this on the bottom, and obviously Google is crawling all this and going, wow, this is a really interesting educational page about straight razors for men.
It's so powerful, honestly, because there's probably loads of e-com brand owners listening to this now and just saying, hey, is it really that impactful? But literally what I've said on this call, everything is what we do day to day at the agency, and it generates real results, as you've seen from your own Google searches. And it's so powerful. Like I said, ultimately, when you're doing SEO, all you need to do is convince Google that your website is the best result for that particular search term or user, whoever it is, right? And the way to do that is to make sure they're the most relevant and to make sure they're the most authoritative. So authority obviously comes from building backlinks, which is a whole nother, if you can say,
another podcast recording.
Yeah, which is a whole other podcast. But typically, if you're the most relevant and the most authoritative, you will not fail, when doing SEO.
One thing I noticed too with YouTube being the second busiest search engine, so to speak, owned by Google, one thing I'm finding interesting, even in my own content production and even some of the brands I manage, what they're doing is they're finding a relevant YouTube video and they're actually embedding it into their content strategy. Maybe not necessarily on the PDP page or on the collection page, but maybe overall like a recipe page or other just types of helpful content around whatever it is that they sell. And I'm finding that when you actually go and look at that URL in Search Console, you can see that if you have decided as the writer that this video, if you've produced it or not, it could be somebody else's video that just happens to be very, very helpful. It actually gets indexed in Google and it actually gets applied towards your piece of content. And I'm even finding these things called rich snippets. Now a little like tiny image comes up in organic search showing a small image of the YouTube video that is embedded in that page. And then you're getting, even though you may not have even produced that YouTube video, are you seeing the same thing in the UK?
We are seeing it every single day. We've actually got a couple of clients who we've actually advised saying, hey, we should really get a video in this blog post because it's actually, easier to explain in a video rather than words.
Right.
Some search terms you just want to see a video, right? Instead of reading a blog post, for example, how to make a lasagna, you could just look at a video of someone adding the ingredients step by step. It's a lot easier to follow.
Right.
So, sometimes we say to clients, hey, based on our analysis and our research, again, we research every keyword and look at the SERP, which stands for Search Engine Results page, pretty much just the top ranking page on Google. And we say, in this particular instance, we recommend having a video. And the client will say, I'm super busy shipping all these orders from the traffic we're getting now. I don't have time for a video. We'll say, okay, no worries. Well, are you okay if we take this video of YouTube and embed it on the website? And they always say, well, that's not my video. We can't do that. I say, well, we're giving them credit. Again, it's your call, but I recommend having it on there because when users land on your page and they then watch that video because it's embedded, guess what? Your bounce rate is going to be lower.
Yes.
Your time on page is going to be higher. These are all things that have a positive impact on your search. Again, these are all user metrics that increase your site, and that's the things you want to be focusing on. So again, we've done that before, added some videos on client websites, and it's worked really, really well. We've even done it on our own website, ClickSlice, back in the early days. Now we have obviously custom videos, but I've used a lot of other SEO people videos back in the day, which I probably shouldn't be saying, but hey.
So the DIY approach, I get it. Do keyword research. There are some tools, paid and free. Get that done. Start getting some good content written, either with some tools, the surfers, and using SEMrush or Ahrefs, kind of going down that journey. Now, what about the done for you services, which kind of more points towards your agency? Like, what's the ideal client for you? And like, what's the sweet spot of maybe of a potential investment of SEO? And then do you meet monthly? Do we talk about the ROI? I just want to understand kind of like the business model. Someone says, yes, I don't have time, but I want the benefits of SEO. Maybe all parts, the content, the backlinks, the authority, all the things. What do you do? And then who's the perfect client for you?
Yeah, so we actually handle the whole entire process. So with SEO, content is just one aspect, right? As I mentioned, link building, we didn't really touch on, you have SEO audits, you have the content production, you have the on-page SEO, you have the manual audits, you have this. There's a lot involved in SEO, which is actually the only reason why we just offer SEO. It's really hard to be an expert in Google ads, Facebook ads, SEO, like everything. We are literally just SEO experts. Yeah. We live and breathe it, and we just do e-commerce SEO, right? So that is what we are obsessed with. And I think about 95%, maybe even 97% of our clients are all on Shopify. We have other clients on other e-commerce brands, other e-commerce platforms, but they're just not that great in terms of platforms. So typically we like to stay with Shopify. But in terms of us, what would be the ideal client is we obviously rank for a lot of keywords, even like SEO keywords related to Shopify. We recently built a page on our website a couple of weeks ago, which SEO for Shopify, and we actually rank number 3, I think, already for SEO services for Shopify. I think we rank number 5 for Shopify SEO agency. So we get a lot of leads in all the time, right? So we kind of cherry pick who we work with, because for us, it's really important. It's not just about boosting the visibility of any brand that comes to us. We actually generally want to care about this brand and have a good relationship and, just have a bit of mutual respect. It's actually very interesting how many brands will just kind of talk to you a bit different because they feel like they're in a power position, you need them, vice versa. But we're not about any of that. So I think for us, someone who is just, very much down to earth and kind of puts the trust in us. We don't like micromanaging. That doesn't work well with us. We just like to get on with what we are good at. We would never say to a brand owner, why don't you change your warehouse, or why don't you offer a different rate? You are the experts at your brand. We let you get on with it. We're the experts at what we do. Let us get on with it. So that's kind of more of a client profile. In terms of monthly investment, so SEO is an ongoing thing. It isn't something you just do once and you can just leave it. Albeit eventually once you build up enough authority and relevancy, you probably can dial back on it for sure because you've already established that. But if you're starting out from scratch, you definitely need to be doing it month on month. So in terms of a minimum investment, our prices start from £2,000 per month. Again, if you're in the US, you don't have to charge you VAT, which is awesome. And for that £2,000, it pretty much covers absolutely everything. It is a complete hands-off solution where we will find all the best keywords to target for your business, run them by you, make sure you're happy. We'll then go and write the content for your collection pages. Again, it's not just a case of writing any random content. You want to make sure it's perfectly optimized. We will do that. We'll then upload it onto your website. We'll then publish all the blogs on your website every month. We'll then go and find out other relevant websites that we can go and actually get a backlink from, pretty much get your website mentioned on their website, secure you backlinks every month. We'll do the manual SEO audit, fix all your technical issues, pretty much just take care of everything. Now, what we do as well for that is we are very transparent in our reporting. We actually have 3 touch points. The first is you have your monthly report, which pretty much lists every single thing we've done for you that month so you can see it. A lot of agencies don't do that. They would just say, yeah, we done ABC, just trust us. Yeah. There's no evidence, which is definitely not cool. So we get out the monthly reports. All clients have a dashboard as well that they can log in 24/7, 365 days a year and exactly see how the campaign is going, if the traffic's going up, the keyword positions, everything you need to see, click some Search Console, all pulled into one place. And we also do quarterly campaign review calls. Now, as far as I'm aware, I checked this again last week, I check it every week. We are the only agency in the UK, I don't think I've even seen many in the US, to offer 3 touch points. And the third is the quarterly campaign review call, where we would jump on a call every 3 months and literally tell you how the campaign is going, what we've done, and what our plan of action is in the coming 3 months. Because, all our campaigns are bespoke and reactive. We make changes and optimize based on what we're seeing in the SERP. So it's a reactive campaign.
Oh, this is lovely. I'll make sure I put all of this in the show notes. So it's around, 2,000, you said around £2,000 per month. So it's $2,400 US dollars probably is kind of a decent starting point. So if that's within your budget, sounds like there's a lot of to-dos that your team is going to take care of. I love having these touch points and stuff like that because it just shows that there's progress. Because I think that's the unfortunate thing about SEO is you find a lot of offshore kind of SEO agencies that are claiming a lot of different things. But they tend to be, I'd almost call them like sweat mills and stuff like that, where you just kind of wonder what's going on. And then you question, we got these links. And, and the reality is that you really are eating your own dog food. You're very clearly kind of implementing your own strategies on your own site to rank high and are getting your own organic reach. And I think that's proof in itself that you actually know what you're doing. And so I appreciate that. This has been really eye-opening. I mean, I joke a lot of times on the show, but when you scramble a lot of pages down, a lot of notes, it shows that it's a great episode. This is near and dear to my heart. I know, like I said, people are really trying to, how do I acquire new customers as cheap as possible? And a small investment in SEO and thinking about, like you said, all the things you mentioned already, doing a technical audit and getting these on-page technical things resolved, kind of getting the keyword research done, thinking about the PDP and collection pages, thinking about your helpful content moving forward and finding this low-hanging fruit. You may rank on a couple pages or, second and third page that easy to move it forward thanks to some of these tools like Surfer and whatnot. You get to execute on some of these strategies and then the brand gets to feel the upside. So I think that's lovely.
No, for sure. It's absolute amazing SEO. I mean, again, even if you don't want to inquire of our SEO services, that's not a problem. You can go to anyone. We're not desperate for clients, but we like to work with brands that are serious for sure. And even if you are looking for other SEO agencies, I will say, do be careful and don't go for any agency that will tie you into a lengthy contract. It seems to be a very common thing in the US and in the UK as well, to be fair. When we work with our clients, we don't tie them into any contracts. No 6 months, no 12 months. It's month to month. So it's in our best interest to get you results, increase your traffic and the revenue. Because if you don't, you can leave the following month, right? So again, that's another pro, that clients get when they actually come to us as well. Yeah.
So you have to kind of month over month, you have to kind of earn the business of the client.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
And so before we go, I know we had a chit chat kind of just before recording, and I understand that you would like to share an offer. If they say, you know what, I don't want to go the DIY approach, but I think that maybe having ClickSlice as, potentially my agency, what are kind of the next steps and what sort of offer were you going to share today?
Yeah, great. So if you are a D2C brand owner and you're looking to grow your traffic and increase your sales, then I welcome you to book a free Shopify SEO strategy call with us. And we'll jump on a Google Meet call and learn more about your business and your goals and understand exactly what you're looking to achieve. We'll also do a mini SEO audit of your website on the call in real time and discuss exactly how we can help you achieve your goals. So that is our way of giving back to your audience at the e-commerce fast lane. To access this SEO strategy call, all we need to do is click the link in the show notes, which for those who would rather just Google it straight, it's clickslice.co.uk/fast lane.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. I'll also have in the show notes too, ecommercefastlane.com/ClickSlice. So that'll also be a redirect over to this landing page. Thank you for that offer. I think that's very notable. It certainly opens up some dialogue and saying, am I a good fit or not? Can I DIY it myself? So I hope you get lots of leads out of that one. So at least it gets people in the mindset that SEO should be a strategy, a channel strategy that you need to execute on. So thank you so much for that.
No worries, Steve. Thank you.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thank you for doing the late evening hustle to kind of get this recorded today. I really appreciate that. You're wonderful. You're very clearly, you're all in on SEO. And I just want to wish you tremendous success continued on. And hopefully in the show, we'll bring in some good leads for you. I mean, like I said, I know even my own brands that I manage, I'm going to make some warm intros to you because I know they need your service. It's very affordable. And at least it gets them even on an education path of like, here's what they did for 6 months or 12 months. Here's the results. And they're like, is it worth us having a full-time team member or can we complement what you're currently doing? I think this is all a wonderful strategy. So
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Have a great afternoon. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.